Good morning, Glasgow, and good morning to everybody joining us around the country and around the world digitally. I'm Amanda Brock. I'm the CEO at OpenUK, and we're the not-for-profit organisation for the business of open technology. If you don't know what open technology means, it's open source software, open hardware, and open data. Our vision is UK leadership and global collaboration in that open technology. And I hope that we'll represent that to the world today. So if you've been following the work that we've been doing at OpenUK, in the last 12 months, I hope you've seen a shift. And it's a very intentional and a very clear shift for us. We started by appointing a Chief Sustainability Officer. We then published a sustainability strategy and a policy. We've moved with intention in our reporting, and we've moved away from focusing on the economics, the pure economic values, the total cost of ownership, the GDPs. We've shifted away from that with intention to look at the impact that open has as a societal benefit. And as we look at that, we're not just looking at technology, we're looking at the open principles: transparency, collaboration, and the creation of collective equity. Now, it's become blatantly obvious to me that to build a fairer and a more sustainable planet, the open principles must be recognized as playing a central enabling role across the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Today, and I mean today, it is essential that we, every one of you in this room, elevates open, recognizing it as that key enabler across sustainability. And I will be holding all of you accountable to that. So you've seen us move on this economic shift, and in doing that, we've taken the world with us. We are now collaborating with everybody across the planet who does reporting on open technology. And we're bringing them together quarterly to discuss the benchmarking, to discuss the metrics, to discuss how we do this, because we want to see this change really happen. You'll see in the future the value of open in societal terms. I have no doubt that OpenUK's sustainability strategy and the work we are doing will influence government, it will influence business, and it will influence education. And that's not down to me, that's down to every person in this room, every person watching us digitally, and everybody who contributes to the open communities. Now, throughout the day, you're going to hear us focus on the open principles and collaboration and the importance of skills development. Any of you who have ever joined a video call with me will have seen my glove puppet. So this little glove is the OpenUK glove, the digital glove that enables you to do the OpenUK Kids Camp. We think it's probably the first of its kind, first of its type. And it marries coding and skills development around coding with the open source definition and sustainability. They are demoing it outside, they're giving the gloves away. Please engage. We've got some gloves left to share, but the messaging, the content, the skills development in that course are critical. You will also see this as the day goes on in our Future Founders training. Now, with that focus on skills in young people, I want to hand over to you to one of my colleagues. Christian Perino joined us about 6 months ago as our Chief Sustainability Officer. And Christian and I worked together for 5 years at an open source company some of you will know, Canonical. Our paths diverged, and Christian took the route of becoming an entrepreneur in sustainability. I'm not going to read out anybody's bios today. You can see them on the website. But I don't think there's an individual in the UK who is more qualified in both open source and sustainability than Christian. Not that I'm setting him up, but Christian, would you like to come up to the stage and bring your special guest to join us?
She left that part out. I would have stopped it. Ronan and Faith, would you like to join me? Let's do a quick test to see if we're sitting close enough to the mics. Say hello. Good? Excellent. So Ronan and Faith, the three of us have had some opportunities to get together and talk about sustainability over the past week. And one of the first things that we explored is how sustainability isn't just about climate change and net zero. It's actually about the connection between people and planet. So things like gender, ethnic inequality, or financial inequality are directly tied to other things that are more about the environment, like climate change, like loss of biodiversity, like the pollution of land, air, and oceans. And I know that the two of you think a lot about the environment and what's happening. Faith, what are some of the things that you think about a lot?
Some of the things I think about a lot is with pollution is all the sea pollution and the way sea pollution happens. It actually happens by the other type of pollution entering the water, land pollution, which we can all resolve if we just recycle things, and air pollution, which is a bit harder to resolve, but by getting gases out of the air. And I think of this because it's affecting coral reefs and sea life around a lot of places.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel mad and quite sad.
That's very reasonable. And oceans are important to you too, Ronan. What do you think of it?
I think that we need to stop throwing litter away into the ocean, and we need to stop overfishing. There's a method called bottom trawling, where fishermen will drag a net along the seabed and scoop up anything that's there.
The two of you are absolutely brilliant. I learn from you every time I talk to you. So it's interesting how one of the things we found out earlier in the week is that there's actually 500 dead zones in the ocean caused by a combination of things that are related to pollution and are related to overfishing. So that's really, concerning for all of us. Now, why do you think there's so much pollution in the ocean or on land? What do you think is happening? You can go first, whoever wants to go first. Yeah, you want to talk about why people tend to litter more?
People are just replacing old things with new things instead of bothering to fix them. That's why my dad learned how to sew, to repair clothes, to repair pants, plushie, bags.
That's pretty unbelievable how fast we need to replace things these days. Do you feel the same way?
Yes, I do. And there are some exceptions that you need to replace things. Like my LP bag was broke beyond fixable. We've broke a few times that were fixable, but the zip and the handle broke. So no one we knew or anywhere we knew could fix it. So we had to get a new one. There's an exception if it's in a shoe size or something, but if it's just for the sake of getting new shoes, I don't think that's okay. Stick with the ones you've got until they don't fit anymore.
That's a very good point. So there's interesting how the two of you have brought up the concept of littering, especially in the ocean, and then the idea that products just don't last very long anymore, that you can't fix them, that you always have to buy new ones. And those things are very much connected, because having to buy new things all the time also means having to throw out, and those things have to go somewhere. So the two of you are absolutely brilliant. Thank you for joining me on stage. I hope people have learned from you. And you can go sit in the comfort zone by your mom. Femi, would you like to join me on stage? So talk about learning from people every time you speak to them. And I haven't spoken to you that much, but I've already picked up a handful of things. So Femi, you're doing some very interesting work around marrying technology with citizen science and air quality. What exactly are you doing?
Yes, so today I've brought my environmental hack with me to COP26, and I'm looking at the carbon dioxide levels over the course of the day in sort of this whole massive complex of tents almost. just looking at sort of how it changes, what affects it, and ultimately it's a citizen science project. So, you know, it's about getting involved, adding to the data set so that we can look at how the data changes over the course of the day, what affects it, and we're looking at, in particular, these ECO2 sensors today, and we want to know they're sort of the more accessible sensors, because a lot of the sensors for measuring air quality are really, really expensive. And we want to know, do these give useful and meaningful readings?
What inspired you to do this?
Well, it's quite a long story, but as most of them these days, it sort of starts with coronavirus and going into lockdown. And, when we went into lockdown, we were actually we're about 3 months away from going to Canada with this Canadian company called Brilliant Labs, and we were going to go to one of their maker fairs over in Nova Scotia, but it got cancelled. Me and my brother and my mum, we were really, really upset. But after about a few months in lockdown, one of the things that really came out of it was stuff about air quality, with people not using their cars as much, and the sort of pollution in London in particular, where we live, decreasing. And also there was a lot about ventilation with the coronavirus viral aerosols. And we ended up sort of doing the full circle. And after about a year of lockdown, the Canadian company called Brilliant Labs contacted us again and told us about an environmental sort of TV series that they were doing on their local community television. And me and my brother jumped at the chance to get involved. You might see some of my brother's upcycled skateboard furniture around today. He's more of a maker. I'm a bit more of a coder. But yeah, they challenged me and my brother to work with this young boy from Canada called Rohan, and we were looking at the difference in air quality in South London and Nova Scotia. Obviously, Nova Scotia's air quality was a lot better. But what it really it really raised questions about sort of the quality of the data we were getting, the accessibility of these sensors, and things like that. Because, you know, we actually did quite a few experiments, and we collected a decent amount of data, and we saw loads of different anomalies. We saw loads of random bits of data here and there, and we kind of thinking, you know, how useful is this data? What does it actually say? You know, we were using these ECO2 sensors, using these nitrogen dioxide sensors, carbon monoxide, but what does it all actually mean? And that really sparked a conversation for us, which we're now continuing to explore and have a look at what these physical readings actually mean for us.
That's absolutely brilliant. Now, you're set up right outside these doors on the right-hand side. What can people do when they visit you at your stand today?
So today, as I said, we brought down our environmental hack, which we ran over the Halloween weekend at the Tate Modern. My mum's at the back there raising sort of one of our sensors on a skateboard, sort of cut off a skateboard, upcycled skateboard scrap. And today, if you want to take part, we'd love you to come and be part of our citizen science project, collect some data, add it to the data set, and sort of come and help us test the sensors, come and help us add and have a look at what the trend is and how they change and how accurate they are. And today, actually, in addition, we've brought down 2 sensors that are going to be sending automated readings throughout the day. And we want to also explore how sort of people taking the readings manually changes the data compared to it being taken automatically as well. So we're going to be doing a number of different experiments, sort of seeing where it's highest, maybe even looking at the airflow as well. So yeah, feel free to come take part, collect some data, enter it in, have a hypothesis, make a guess of what you think will happen over the course of the day, and yeah, take part in our sort of experiment.
Thank you, Femi, and please take him up on that offer. Thank you.